I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorist killers. Thank you. Now watch this drive.
60% of the world's lithium is in the lithium triangle: Argentina, Bolivia, Chile. It has a lot to do with national security, and we need to step up our game.
This monarch of billionaire, I grew up in federally subsidized housing. I came from nothing. Yes, I have billions of dollars. I earned it. No one gave it to me.
3 precious little kids lost their lives, and I believe 3 adults, I believe it's. And the shooter, of course, lost their life too. So it's a horrible, horrible situation. And we're not going to fix it.
Now watch this drive.
Levi is now using like AI generated images for all of their models and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which I think is kind of an interesting thing, and I'm wondering like how long it's going to take for pretty much all of these like clothing type companies and whatnot to start using like AI generated models, and how that's going to affect the modeling industry as a whole, other than like say runway stuff, right? I don't think it's really going to affect that.
Holograms.
Obviously. But I went further with this, and I started to wonder how long before porn picks this up.
Done. Already done.
Like if you went to like Pornhub or something like that, and
what site is that? Porn? I've never heard of that.
I never heard of it. You can just type in whatever you want, and then an AI thing will just generate an image for you to beat off to or whatever. Like I think like you don't even have to have like real life shit anymore. And then I took it another step further.
It's not gay if it's an AI.
I took it a step further.
And
I started to wonder if AI generated images could still be considered child porn.
Oh God damn it, Carl!
You took it to a very dark place. Very
I know.
Yes.
I was curious.
Yes.
I was really curious.
Yes.
I'm so glad that we're putting everything on YouTube now. This
because
is
they're not really
pulling aggro.
They're not real children, right? They're just
no.
It's like,
I think it still applies. Though.
It's yeah.
I'm sure it does, but I'm curious. Like, let's say, I mean, obviously, if
I'm asking for a friend.
No, there's obviously the caveat that like the models.
People listening are 60 seconds into this.
I don't care. People, obviously there's the caveat that I don't think the AI generated models like will allow that now. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I have not. Am I wrong?
I mean,
it depends on the model, but so much of this shit is like open source. Like there's like
I just thought that like maybe there's some sort of restrictions on like what it'll actually generate.
I'm sure it's just a step away from lifting that restriction though. And to your point, brings up a very interesting concept, which is typically the reason that child porn is illegal isn't because of an action. It's not assault. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, but then there's also like I don't
like it. I don't like it one bit. But
no, I don't like it either. I was discussing it with my partner earlier, and they brought up that another big issue with child pornography is that it's never enough. Like
Were they saying that? Oh no,
no. It's just that they get to a point where they have to experience stuff in real life. It can't be just looking at images. So it would just kind of enable that, or maybe make that even worse.
Or if they knew that it was artificial, it certainly wouldn't be enough. They would be seeking out the
you can't satiate them with the VR child.
Yes, no, but I am curious if that space is going to change, like not just with child porn, but obviously with anything like that. Like if it's not an actual person, is it illegal anymore? Like, and is it any different than like having like an artist just come up with like random paintings?
Yeah, think about like the anime, like that they're clearly all like 12 years old, but they're 18.
The porn concept in general, aside from the child porn aspects of it, if you had your special kink or whatever.
Yeah.
What does it hurt? At that point, you're actually, because there is a lot of negative stuff in the porn industry, sex trafficking, and like Andrew Tate and all that stuff.
Yeah,
all
the bad stuff. There is exploitation. There is like prostitution and like snuff and all that.
And I understand, and I understand the empowerment angle as well. Like as far as sex workers, and I'm not trying to demean anyone's way that they make a living or whatsoever. But there is some stuff going on, negative stuff going on. That, I mean. Why not?
Yeah, I kind of thought it would be
Except for the
really
child porn.
neat. Yeah, like
and the deepfake.
the porn thing was like the first thought, because I was thinking we always talk about how technology is really pushed. It's really pushed by either porn or some type of like fraud or something like that,
or replacing workers.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm not in that space, so maybe they have been messing with AI to like make those things, but I don't know. Then, of course, I had to go to like the child porn thing, and I was just curious.
Just had to.
Yeah, I want to.
I mean, because I have to take. It just makes me wonder. Like, I'm just so curious.
Just wondering about child porn all the time.
There's a new voice on the show.
I know, but like, Nick, I never know.
I want to welcome Nick to Michigan's #1 pedophilia podcast. Watch This Drive.
Please,
good to have you on the show, Nick.
Welcome,
good to
Nick.
have you.
But we're not
representative.
Yeah. It's a thought experiment. Come on.
Our court appointed supervisor.
Also, it marks that I'm the only one with 5 letters in their name.
I mean, I could do Nikki.
What the fuck?
There you go.
Oh, wow.
All right, I'm changing it to Nikki. So
you're just Rand.
Welcome, Nikki. Or I'm Rand.
Rand.
No, I can't be Rand. Come on.
Yeah, you're Rand.
There is a Rand.
Yeah. Rand Paul.
Fuck that guy.
Ayn Rand, too. Both of them, oddly.
Ayn Rand.
I haven't gotten.
Does anybody? Is that anything?
I haven't gotten beaten up by my neighbor. I'm not Rand. Sorry, it's too soon.
No, I think you mean brutally attacked by a leftist Antifa thug in whatever fucking bougie ass neighborhood they live in.
Yeah, exactly. Wasn't it like
Rand
an argument
Paul?
about mowing laws?
Yeah, Rand Paul got his ass kicked because he like kept pushing his leaves onto his neighbor's lawn or something.
Yeah, it was something really silly like landscaping.
He fucking tackled him, didn't he?
Pretty.
Didn't he fucking tackle him?
I think he got bones broken or something.
Yeah, his neighbor fucking
he got
tackled him or
seriously
something.
fucked up.
Very much treaded on, I think.
Somebody
It's a very big snake.
somebody violated the non-aggression principle.
The guy's name was Ron Gadsden.
Really?
Yeah, that was a Gadsden flag joke. No, it's not. No, I was trying to play off of Nikki's.
Nikki. Yeah, we'll stick with it. Yeah, sure. I thought you guys were talking about Nancy Reagan's husband for a second. The one that got assaulted with that fucking hammer by the
Nancy Pelosi's husband?
Oh, Pelosi's?
Nancy Reagan?
Yeah.
Nancy Reagan.
Ronald Reagan also got assaulted.
Nancy Reagan's husband is a fucking awesome way to refer to Ronald Reagan.
I am going to do that from now on, actually. Everything was good in this country until Nancy Reagan's husband was president.
Fucking whatever his fucking name is.
All right. What are we on to now, Drew?
I'm on display, probably.
Okay, I'll explain it. So every episode, I put up a record, and these guys have to guess it. So the most important part is describing it for viewers and listeners, especially for listeners, because obviously they can't see it. I'm not sure if I'm hitting my lag switch right now, so I'm not sure how.
It looks fine. You look great.
It's actually pretty clear.
Okay. So go for it, guys.
Okay.
All right.
Brick wall. People painted on the wall, graffiti style.
You think it's a brick wall? Is it a brick wall?
It is not a brick wall, but that's very good.
It looked like 4 guys with like on a red background with a crosshatch pattern over it.
Oh, I bet a bunch of people have already.
Randy, you said that to me like you're training an AI model, and you were surprised I knew what a brick wall was.
Like I'm honestly thought it was
because I know what it is, so it's hard for me to get to that place in my mind because I know exactly how they're forming that collage of image.
To reduce
it's an
himself to our level.
It's not like a edited photo. It's an illustration.
It is actually a series of. But
is it
I don't
Weezer?
want to get into details of that.
It
does
Weezer?
kind of look like Weezer, doesn't it?
It does. It looks like the Red album a little bit.
Or the Blue album, right?
I mean, they're all
pretty
the
red to
same.
me.
With the four members side by side.
Yeah, I thought the
Weezer might even
red.
have
We don't
been-
know what is this.
The
Florida?
Red album also has
election
them
year?
4 across. But yeah, the Blue albums, they're all the full
The
bodies.
Blue album might have been inspired by, as far as the layout of the 4 members of the band standing, kind of like a lineup in a police lineup kind of thing.
Oh, that's the Chain by Fleetwood Mac.
You guys are just trying to
I'm
enhance it.
fucking lost. I feel like I
The
should.
Chain
know this
is not an album; it's a song by Fleetwood Mac.
That's the Chain by Fleetwood Mac.
I put in Red album 4 band members drawn, and it came up with Weezer. That's funny.
Okay, well, want me to give hints, or where are we at here?
One hint.
I want a hint.
Okay, so this is actually the start of a series of productions with Brian Eno and this band.
Oh shit!
It was the first of 3.
Can I phone this one in?
You could phone it in. You could do whatever
Drew, can
whatever
you
you
Google
need to
this
do.
for me?
Yeah. Let me Google that for you.
It's the Talking Heads, ladies
got
and
it.
gentlemen.
Oh.
Okay, what's the
Talking
name of the
Heads.
album? What's the name of the album?
More songs Building and food.
More songs about building and food.
Yeah, more songs about buildings and
Which
food.
is kind of a silly. This is their second studio album, second full-length album.
That is an interesting album cover. It looks way different.
Yeah, so it's what it is. It's a bunch of Polaroids, square Polaroids.
Yeah.
Kind of series together to make it, to make their four bodies out. So it was released in 1978, and as I said, it was the partnership between Talking Heads, mainly David Byrne and Brian Eno's first of 3 albums produced by that collaboration. Really good.
It's not a brick wall at all.
Had the Al Green.
No, it's not.
The Al Green cover, "Take Me to the River." Take me to the river. Yeah, throw me in the water.
So
yeah, great album. I just wanted to throw it on there because it didn't have a giant Talking Heads written on it, and all the rest of their albums do. So
yeah,
it'd be very easy to guess.
But it does say it at the top, right?
I think it does have Talking Heads.
It does in the picture, but I can't see it on your album at all.
Actually, I don't think the vinyl does have Talking Heads written on the top or anything. I think it's just the four.
It's
four
like
folks.
because in the image, it's just like in a serif font in yellow across the top, like in between the.
Here,
like
I'll
the middle
go
of the
check.
line.
I'll go check. Here we go.
I don't like that he can bring the headphones with him. Now we can't talk shit.
No.
Wow.
No.
That's interesting.
It's a cool album cover. Pretty.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I really like it.
Speaking of which,
It does have it has a Verizon coverage map for the back cover.
Well, that's
What'd they pay for
Verizon,
that?
AT&T, T-Mobile, and Boost.
This is back in
What'd they pay for that
1978 too. So.
I never used to have vinyl before. I never had a vinyl player, but my girlfriend, she insisted on getting me a vinyl player, so now I have a bunch of fucking vinyl albums.
Oh, hell yeah.
To play.
What's your best get?
My best get. I think the coolest one. Here, 1 second. I'll pull it
Yeah,
up.
Nick is gonna do album on display. Let's expand this.
I think I just read that vinyl has
Outsold CDs for the first
outsold
time.
CDs. Yep.
Actually,
Oh,
I
he's
forgot. I
hidden
don't
CDs
have
are
it with
popular.
me.
Yep.
But
So you
she.
saw that too.
Yep.
What? What'd you see? What did I reveal?
No, not you.
I was telling Randy that I just read that vinyl has outsold CDs for the first time, just recently.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago.
Since CDs were popularized in like the 80s. and 90s.
CDs are not cool. You cannot brag about CDs.
So actually, Stan Getz album. Now, the
Oh,
only
yeah.
reason I thought this was neat because my girlfriend had a album from her uncle. Actually, he recorded an album back in the '60s with a jazz band that had, I think, what do they call it? The inside, like when you open the thing and it's got like all the like little intro
Gatefold?
music. The gatefold. Yeah, it was written by
Yeah.
Stan Getz. Actually.
Oh,
So
Stan Getz is a jazz musician for you.
tenor sax player.
Yeah, I was
All
going
right.
to say, I'll give you 60-40 odds on Randy having any given vinyl. Any.
I don't think I have any Stan Getz specifically.
Well, I'm out
But
$60.
this section, where is it? I don't think I can get it in focus. Where is it? It's below me. It's
I don't have vinyl because it's a dying
Right there is-
medium.
Only if you let it.
That's my jazz collection. It's not huge.
Randy, you'd be proud of me. All day today, I was listening to jazz.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do listen to contemporary jazz. I just don't have that much vinyl for jazz because when I go to the record store, I don't know if it's maybe I'm the only one and maybe it's the record stores that I go to. But I'll go through, the pop and I'll go through the rock and I'll go through the jazz section. The jazz section seems to be just filled with classic stuff. Like there's like Nels Cline, for instance, who's the guitarist in Wilco. He's got a bunch of jazz records that are really good. I'm assuming he releases stuff on vinyl, but I just never find it in the stores, so I don't pick it up.
I was on Spotify
don't find
and
it.
I was looking for like some jazz playlists, and one of them was like, beginner jazz, and the first song was Cantaloupe. You remember that song? And I was like, really? Is that jazz? Like, I mean,
it's Herbie
there's stuff in it.
Hancock, right?
It's us three. Cantaloupe, Flip Fantasia.
No, it is Herbie Hancock.
Herbie Hancock did the original one, but the one that they were playing was the new one.
Herbie Hancock is very strange stuff. That's fantastic. I love it.
If you're looking for fun piano players, I gotta say my personal favorite has to be Chick Corea. I'm a big Chick Corea fan. One of the first songs I did in jazz band in 10th grade was Spain. Actually, we did a big band version of it, and we had this really good but very snobby sax player who he did a sax solo and then
Was
he
that
did
you?
his flute. So I
John
wish
Coltrane.
I fucking
you?
wish. No, this guy we had a high school like statewide jazz competition, and this is high school students, right? Like 15 to 17. This guy wrote his own song for the combo competition and did a 10-minute solo on it. And the judges were just like, it was good. That's the thing that makes me mad about it. It's like every time I see it was actually pretty fucking, it was cool. It was good. But the guy was such an asshole. It was.
He's probably still an asshole.
Yes.
What's his name? Address?
Okay, are you gonna?
Let's pull this guy's Facebook up.
No.
You can probably find his voter registration info, like where he lives.
Oh, easily, definitely. That's just all. And then his address is public. I'm sure he doesn't have like an LLC holding company for his fucking address.
I feel the way about some computer programmers. Some computer programmers that are even on this call, you know, it's just like, why? And their stuff is actually pretty good, you know. I wish it was terrible because they're such assholes. I'm not gonna name any names or anything. I'm just.
But Randy is the biggest asshole of all of us. That's what he's saying.
Who are you referring to?
What?
Himself.
What are you talking about? Let's move on.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of, I don't have a segue. TikTok.
Speaking of assholes, Elon Musk.
Oh, okay.
There you go. That's
doing some fucking
listener.
bullshit.
Carl has just pulled a coup on the outline.
There is no outline.
We did it.
It's kind of more like freeform jazz, actually.
We did. That's right. It's the jazz episode.
Yeah, this is the jazz episode exactly. According to Mr. Musk, starting April 15th, only verified accounts will be eligible for the For You recommendations. This is the only realistic way to address advanced AI bot swarms taking over.
So fucking annoying.
Voting in polls will also require verification for the same reason. So if you want to vote in a poll, you now have to pay, what is it now? Like $8?
Stay in line.
God.
Stay in line.
Are you serious? It's like the one fun part about Twitter now. You get to vote in the polls.
You get to vote in the polls. Well, that's
$8.
He did that poll several months ago where he said, if this poll wins, I will quit and I'll give somebody else CEO. And he fucking lost the poll.
It takes a while. He's still interviewing.
Yes.
The bots.
It's the woke mind virus. It's the woke mind virus of bots.
Right.
That's what happened.
The woke
the AI
computer
bot
virus.
swarm got him.
He seriously has to be like one of the like cringiest people to be popular.
Oh, see, that's interesting because I think he's quite based.
Oh, yeah? Please elaborate.
No, well, he's a genius, right? Think about it. He buys a company for $44 billion. It only took him 6 months to turn $44 billion into $18 billion. Have you ever seen anybody move money that quickly?
No, I mean, it's a Guinness record.
Brewster's fucking millions could never.
Okay, truthfully, though, I mean, I said this back in December when we had our predictions of, you know, what would happen in 2023. And I'm like, Twitter's going to make it because of just
Joe
the
Biden's still alive, by the way.
Yeah.
I said Joe Biden's still alive, by the way.
Yeah. Twitter's going to make it just sheer provocativeness and just the fact that Elon just stays in the news cycle and he's just going to push it forward.
I remember this prediction.
Yeah. But this right here, this announcement,
it's going to kill it.
That's it. What are you doing, dude?
You're not seeing the bigger picture. You're not seeing the bigger picture.
No, it's going to kill it.
You're chasing away your good users.
They're also chasing
the good users are the ones
advertisers.
that give you $8.
Where are they going to go, though?
Where are they going to go?
Facebook?
Anywhere.
That sounded very much like Trump. Where are they going to go?
Where are they going to go?
Yeah.
America number one.
We're the only game in town, folks.
Advertisers aren't even coming back. Like the big companies, the corps aren't coming back.
He needs
Really,
to get
you guys don't think this is going to kill it?
No, because here's the thing. As a 10-year like Tumblr user, as someone who's still using, you can't really kill these websites. They persist.
That's true, yeah.
They persist. And honestly, they get better after they become decrepit.
So like, that's a live journal.
Okay, fair point.
And MySpace.
MySpace. I'm still on MySpace, guys.
And what was that? What was that one? Was it dig.com?
Dig, the predecessor to Reddit, yeah.
Yep. So
really?
Say to that. Yep.
Yeah, everybody was on Dig before Reddit. Yeah.
Twitter has it's too big to fail almost.
Yeah.
Like, because the amount of users on it, it is the public forum in a way. Enough. MySpace or even Facebook.
But it's losing the public forum though. Like it used to be the public forum, but now
TikTok is like eating.
But now even
eating
like
their lunch.
I
forget how that works, but somebody's eating somebody's lunch, and TikTok.
Yeah.
Is
somebody's drinking a milkshake that's not theirs.
Twitter is mainly used by like niche groups, and that's where they get a lot of their.
Well, I mean, I think
like the entire DSA, like everyone litigates all of their personal gripe, the entire
no, air those grievances.
It's one of the biggest problems is that
I should have worn my DSA shirt.
You have a DSA shirt? I have
Yeah, of
plenty.
course.
You want one? I can give it to you.
I have two. I mean, neither of them are just solely DSA. One's the Detroit DSA branch, and the other one's
Oh shit.
My
Who's your
uncle
rep?
actually
Who's your rep?
started the DSA.
Who's your rep? Who's your rep, Drew? Rashida Tlaib.
Oh, she is?
It's a DSA Rashida Tlaib.
Thank you for doxing me, by the way.
You know, sure.
I know the guy who made that shirt.
Oh well, I have it. I paid the $27 to.
It's a very expensive shirt. Get your money's worth.
It's worth it. Yeah, whatever.
I was just saying, like, one of my big problems is that because it's a public forum and because it's especially strongest in New York and in like the Brooklyn scene, like everyone fucking litigates every fucking organization inter-chapter dispute on like open arguments on Twitter. It's sometimes entertaining, but honestly, for like the health of anyone who's like active in any realm of DSA, it's like you have to. It's like it's poison. It's toxic. The only thing I can say that little tiny culty left groups, semi-culty I should say, have better. They're usually, because they're like semi-cults and they're like disciplined, they actually can get their members to be like, hey, don't argue online. It's not good for you guys, and also people don't like seeing it. It's generally bad for morale. DSA people are not very good about it. But then the thing is, you get these arguments on Twitter, and because DSA has at a bit of a critical mass that like public electeds actually interact with it, that stuff spills over into like immediate arguments with Democratic Party officials. Like
It can sort of catch fire.
Yeah,
and-
I know.
yeah.
I know people in the state Democratic Party who've complained about like Twitter arguments before. I'm like, what world is this? Why are you interacting with this? But
I'm gonna have to disagree with you because I think people are here for the arguments.
no,
Well, yeah, but then-
I think people love the arguments.
But a lot of it's like airing dirty laundry.
But
kind
it still
of
hurts
stuff
the
where-
people because people consume.
I'm not
people
saying it
spend
doesn't
time
hurt
on
the
platform.
causes or anything like that.
no, I know absolutely. People are addicted to it, like opium.
Yeah.
They love,
I love it.
I loved it. I sometimes I gotta just get in there and just fucking.
You gotta
I
get your
remember
guys'
this like
fix.
there was an Occupy Wall Street documentary, and they couldn't even get out of figuring out the rules of how they're going to run their committees. Like it was, they like dissolved in the first like 2 hours of just talking about the thing that they wanted to talk about, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it can get a little crazy.
We are exploring the possibility of forming an exploratory committee to discuss the potential of bringing it to a committee vote. At which point, the head of the committee will have the opportunity to have a 5-minute speech. It's very exciting.
But we have to vote on who the head of the committee is.
This is why it's good
This
that
is
you have to
why
pay $8 to talk.
I really
I
hate.
think I'm coming around to it.
I really hate this person that I'm about to mention, but this is why, like, occasionally Bill Maher actually has a good point, which he gets into this about. We just can't, like, the left can't get out of its own way with some of the things it focuses on, you know. And that guy's an absolute fucking jackass. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah,
he has a point. It's like, come on, can we just like we have to come together at some points. I know the term like herding cats. It's been thrown around a lot.
This is why I've been
we
very
have to.
encouraged by like the sort of collapse of the right in a similar way that you generally see in like more leftist communities. The right has always done it right because they understand. They generally the people that actually have influence understand that it is all a grift and there's really no beliefs. Whereas I think that people on the left being more like personally, emotionally invested in these things because they tend to. You're more likely to have people that actually believe in the shit that they're trying to do. But on the right, because of like the fucking brain virus that they've all given themselves, like they're starting to have these like very esoteric commitments to these like random bullshit. It does create some very, very funny infighting.
They will coalesce around a message without any delay whatsoever, though. Like they are so much better
because I read all their replies.
No, but they also have only 3 topics that they need to talk about.
You'd be very
I'm
surprised.
serious.
No,
you know what I mean,
they
though.
fall under very consistent categories, but like they get very granular. They get very granular.
I know what you're saying, but like the main ones are like no gay people, like no women rights, you know, and God and all that kind of stuff. But like the left has so many different freaking things that they're focusing on. It's just like it's everything.
Part of the reason they can do that is just because the media environment on the right is different. There's just more money floating around, and they have bigger personalities that can like polarized but also like magnetized discussion, right? They got Ben Shapiro, they got Steven Crowder, they got all the fucking people
Tucker
who brainwashed
Carlson,
Kanye West, Tucker Carlson.
Prager you, baby.
They tend to polarize, but then at the fringes you get like all the QAnon like micro celebrities, right?
That's where I spend all my time.
That's honestly, they're fun. I like them. I have a soft spot for psychos.
100%. 100%. Absolutely.
We do as well. We work.
It's
with
incredible. Well, it's funny because it is like...
You should know shit like a QAnon psycho is a programmer.
No, it's not QAnon, but he's
Not a
very Alex
programmer
Jones, InfoWars.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Which they don't like each other very much. And this is kind
No,
of one of the main contentions where it's like...
Yeah.
You've got your like lizard people versus your JFK Jr. will rise again people. Like that's like it's a major point of conflict.
It is. The frogs are gay versus.
Are they clones or are they lizards? That's the main thing now.
They're cloned lizards.
See, now we're
shit.
reaching a
now you got a third faction. What'd you do, Carl?
Well, Carl, I think Carl, if you run on that,
they started breeding and they became a super group.
If you run on that platform, Carl, I think you may be able to reunite the right, and you may take the White House.
Well, I don't need that power.
But yeah, to your point about the money, Nick, there's a lot more money in it, and so any, usually apolitical online personality, as soon as their like popularity starts to wane, the easy eject button, the easy escape hatch is just like, I would love some of that Koch money.
No, yeah, it's money. You get Steven Crowder. Like, do you guys remember like the argument he had about like his contract or whatever? Like,
yeah, with the Daily Wire.
He was getting pissed because he was like shorted like what $4 million or something,
on like a $50 million deal.
$50 million. Insane to be a fucking moron.
That was pretty eye-opening to actually see the numbers on that.
Yeah,
just like oh that's why.
Yeah, but then you like remember like Ben Shapiro is like one of the most viewed people on Facebook, right? Like there's no one on the left that has that kind of I mean, at one point maybe Jon Stewart, right, 10 years ago, who I can't watch it. Any of it, it's like how Martin Luther started Lutheranism and then like all the Protestants after him just like bastardized and everything. All of like the spawns off the Daily Show, I can't watch. I used to love Stephen Colbert as a kid. I can't. I love the Colbert Report, but a lot of it is kind of just when I was a kid, I thought it was like really cool and edgy, and it was awesome. It was funny, but you can't watch it now.
Funny, but no. Him now is just like like I don't know. It's just so fucking.
Yeah,
I mean, he was like one of the biggest
Trevor Noah is another one.
Yeah.
Who's another one?
Trevor Noah. It's not the same.
No. And it's so like who on the left, even the liberal left, like is like a major voice. Like what? I think the biggest people on the Bernie left are Chapo. Like that's it. As far as like talk show people, that's the only people I can think of.
Yeah, and even that's still just like internet niche micro celebrity stuff.
Yeah, that's a very
they're tiny. Yeah,
I mean, there's still people.
DSA.
I mean, there's like Anand Giridharadas, but he's not like huge, right? He's not like celebrity level. But he's on there writing books. Usually, you only really hear about it when he pushes out a new book.
Well, you can't really like have any
controversial.
Real like actual leftist critique because a sufficiently comprehensive leftist critique, it groups in the people that would have the ability to give people that reach.
Yeah,
it's antithetical to their business model.
You know who the other one would be, and it's a perfect example of someone who gets critiqued all the time for this is Hassan Piker. Well, I have to say, like, for all the shit he gets, like, I've seen people who've joined YDSA because they watched Hassan Piker.
Like, that's like there's a measurable impact there. It's
like overall a good thing. But sorry.
Yeah, it's basically all the people associated with Bernie, though, like David Sirota and Brianna Joy Gray and stuff, like all those folks that like worked for his campaign, and now they're spreading out and doing podcasts and
Virgil, Texas.
Authors.
But they're still not like at that. They're still not at that level.
But yeah, it's all those folks.
Where is
but they're still not at that level of like a Ben Shapiro or anything like that. They're like nowhere near that.
Nowhere near it. Nowhere
like not
near
even
it.
close.
No.
I'm so mad that the Chapo guy I have a picture with is Virgil, Texas.
Oh yeah. Me and do you ever tell that me and Drew went to see Chapo live back
this is the guy
4 years
Nick is the guy I saw Chapo with.
They were holding puppies at the
and we met him and I got a picture with Virgil, Texas.
Matt wasn't there, Will wasn't there, or
Matt was there.
Felix wasn't there and Will wasn't, but Matt and Chris were. Yeah, I talked to Virgil for like 2 seconds and it was like very awkward and uncomfortable.
Yeah, he was like, what's your kick?
What was your kick? What was your answer to that question?
I'm not a 16-year-old girl. I'm not qualified to answer that question. Yeah, Yeah, I think
we're doing infighting. We're doing infighting. We're doing leftist infighting right now.
This is it's happening.
Although our reach is about I don't know, 200 people max.
200 people's not bad. That's like
I mean, if I'm being generous, but we don't need to, we're just hanging out.
Yeah,
just in a room.
Well, I was gonna say, I guess, trying to tie it back. The other thing about the left and its ability to focus is that, I mean, it is just by its nature, a different, it sounds dumb to say, but a different kind of politics. Like, it is not as righteous or as heartfelt driven as a lot of people on the right. I mean, I guess during the Iraq War, you got a lot of that, like, jingoistic shit, but for the most part, people on the left tend to hyper moralize. They tend to do gender. Yeah. There's all the genders that they're
investing all that. Well, frankly, I'm glad that Silicon Valley Bank collapsed because now they won't have nearly as much money to invent new genders.
I mean, but you see it a lot. One thing I notice in DSA a lot is you definitely can see a transition from people who are really new to the organization, who are usually coming off of spending years on social media, and like kind of that transition into like becoming active, like getting involved in a committee, getting involved in a regular project. You see their attitude generally tend to lighten up and like they become less tense, but like also it's a real struggle for people to learn habits of engagement because like social media, like especially left social media, is like a fucking death match, like a cage fight all the time. You're just trained every day to be just vicious towards people, and honestly,
why do you think that is? Like, I'm sure it's a multifaceted answer, but
attention. Really, for the most part, like when I think about, well, two things. One, it's attention. It gets you likes. It gets you like retweets, and like that's validation. That's like a little measurable, quantifiable thing. You get popularity. You get like micro celebrity, and like it's like the general like thing that develops social.
And you need that. You need that hit in part because it's very hard to actually make any real impact in real life currently.
Exactly, because you spend all your time on Twitter because you really don't want to do work, because like at some point you do kind of understand like, oh, what would I actually have to do? I'd have to like go door knock a neighborhood. This is actually like a big
problem. This is like a oh, okay.
And like
this is like when my friend asked me to go knocking on doors to ask people to vote for Bernie, and I was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't blame. I was the guy asking people to knock on doors, by the way.
Yeah,
I did I texted people.
It's tough. People. It's like a combination of people are really shy. And they don't, especially like lefty types, are very like kind of generally kind of shy, more anxious, more introverted people. But also too, it just seems like, it's like a lot of work, and I don't have to do that. Like I don't feel compelled to. I'm getting my fill just kind of arguing with people, and so I'm not happy really. But when I feel like frustrated, I yell at someone, I feel better, for a minute, and then I get back to scrolling. Right? It is like a addictive casino slot machine
hit. Yeah.
I just remember the years and years I spent like, and this was honestly just bad, permanent brain damage, like on Tumblr as like a teenager and then in early college, in the specific kind of environment of leftist politics on there. There were just like 10-page long call out posts with people documenting every little interaction they had with someone, just people like dogpiling people, like doxing them. No tap apology. And you go through this like ritual and performance of apology to you learn this very like fake but necessary script about how to navigate this. The people who come to DSA are the people who reach a breaking point, they have like a road to Damascus moment where they're like, oh my god, the reason I'm not doing this stuff is because I'd rather be spending my time like arguing with people, right? Because you spend what are you yelling about? Half the time you're on Twitter, you're yelling at people because they're not doing enough, right? But it's, look in the mirror. It's you. You're the one not doing enough either. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot of things you can pull from that, but I guess the biggest thing is like, I think about like how it impacts like political organizing, and it makes it much tougher just because it's really addicting to get in fucking arguments.
Yeah, I can see that.
Here's the thing that I always think of, and me and my wife have talked about this a few times, because in our community, the Facebook groups are extremely active, especially like related to the schools and what have you. Somebody will say something, like some adult or parent will say something, and you definitely have your left-right divides.
Right.
And the left will just pounce on this person. And they might say something that's just on the cusp of being, like cancel culture kind of thing, where they're being somewhat racist, not totally overt, but somewhat racist or somewhat sexist or transphobic or what have you.
Just like appetizer racist.
Yeah, appetite. Just a little taste. And
I know where this is going.
The left pounces on them, and they make valid points, and the argument is valid, and I tend to agree with their viewpoints overall. But the thing that me and my wife always discuss, it's like, okay, where do you think that person's going to go now? They're going to go to the open arms of the right. Now they're the victim, which is what they all love to be. And now they've experienced this adversity, and now please embrace me, Jesus, and whatever. And
because these dialogues, they're not dialogues.
They're not dialogues.
They're attacks.
So the point, everything that you're just saying, Nick, as far as this argument, I wouldn't even, and I'm sure you guys discuss this a lot in the essay and what have you, but I wouldn't even put it in a passive voice. I would say you are actively working against what you could be changing by, knocking on doors or doing whatever, effective campaigning, by engaging in this social media warfare, which isn't getting anyone anywhere. And if anything, it's just furthering the divides and making people run to their corners where they will feel welcome. Mm-hmm. It's an unfortunate circumstance of, just this whole Twitter whatever.
And I know the other thing about the pouncing that I always think about is usually the person who does the pouncing, they're pissed off, but they're not pissed off usually primarily on behalf of themselves. They do it because they're like, wow, someone should say something to this person so everyone else sees it, right? It's like
a performative, somebody, there needs to be, I need to add a community note to this post.
I was going to kind of touch on that a little bit because I can understand that. You've seen it where a politician says something on Twitter. A lot of times it's like wildly wrong, inaccurate, based on no data or whatever. And someone has to reply and be like, well, actually it's this, this, and this. Now, there's two things I see with that. One is that they don't give a shit. The politicians don't care. They're not reading it. They're not reading any of the replies. They're just putting something out there for people to see. Nobody, I can guarantee nobody is reading those things.
Well, for those people, for the people with that influence, the negative response is generally like it's priced in, right? Like that's
it doesn't
part
even
of the
matter.
strategy.
It doesn't even matter because all it's going to take is all it's going to take is retweets. Like the message is going to get out whether it's true or not. Like people don't they don't care, and they don't care if they're right or wrong. The other aspect of it is, should they just be able to just post whatever the fuck they want and not be challenged at the same time? And that's tough because they're not going to see it. They're not going to change their view on it. And somebody is just posting it just to prove that they're wrong or whatever. But the alternative is that they just get to say whatever the fuck they want, and then there's no challenge whatsoever. And the challenge isn't necessarily for that person that posted it. It's for everybody else reading it. Mm-hmm. I was guilty of this shit. I used to get in Facebook fights back in 2016. People would say, well, why do you argue with these people? You're not going to change their minds. And I'm like, I'm not trying to change their mind. I'm trying to change everybody else's mind.
Trying to change the world.
That's what, yeah.
No, because there's people that are on the fence that are not engaging in the conversation, that are still reading it and maybe thinking about what they want to do. And it's like, yeah, sure, maybe there will be some common ground that me and this other person will get into, or find, but really they're not my target.
I think the problem with thinking about it like that, and that's not even an unreasonable thing to think, knowing and overhearing my parents and the way they talk about Facebook arguments, because they keep track of all their friends and they're like, oh my god, did you see this person said this, or did you see this person voted for Trump or whatever. The thing is that it's a very really marginally thin group of people who are undecided about things. There's a much wider group of people who want to see other people argue on their behalf and tell that person they're wrong. I think it is just true at this point. People are more or less hyper partisan. There really aren't that many people who are undecided voters.
Think about how much of that connects to the incentives of social media platforms in general, right? You make more money with more engagement. You get more engagement if people care about things a lot more, and so everyone just kind of spirals and self-selects into these more and more. And this is not, I'm not breaking new ground with this, but they're pre-selected to go into those directions. And then you couple that with all of these. There's so many studies about the fact that if you believe something, if you really think something, no amount of new information is really going to change your mind. Right.
In most cases, it actually just makes you dig your heels in.
Right. Exactly.
The thing I just to
you have a defense response.
Starting from Nick's point, though, it's it's not even the undecided. It's the people that just aren't even paying attention at all. Yeah. Like I think that more people who are going to engage in some Twitter argument or Facebook argument are going to be interested in the subject that's being argued about. Those Twitter and Facebook arguments are actually in the margins. The majority of folks are just out there reacting to whatever, gets, I don't know, covered by CNN or Fox News or whatever they're consuming, and really won't even get into the details of, like, this TikTok thing, for instance. It's 100% in the news for me, or for probably everyone, or at least Carl and Drew on this call, because we're paying attention to it. But if I had, like, my brother, say, who is completely not interested in any politics whatsoever,
isn't that
he probably just knows, like, he probably knows, like, a couple things about TikTok, like, oh yeah, my son uses it, one of my nephews uses it or something, who's 16 or whatever, it's like, he had no concept. And I'm not just, like, trying to pick on him or anything. It's just, he's focused on what he's doing day in, day out in his 9 to 5, or he kind of has heard of, like, Joe Rogan, but for the most part, he's just trying to watch the next, Game of Thrones episode or whatever.
He's not an article head.
It's like,
he's not an article head.
He's not
online
like us.
He's not online. He's not a weird little freak.
To Carl's point, when he was, like, talking about arguing and he's trying to expose, that side of the argument to someone that might not feel, I don't know, confident to participate. It's like you're still only catching just a narrow band of people that might actually be interested in the subject at hand anyways. Most of these people don't even know, like, primaries exist. When it comes down to, like, Trump versus Hillary, they're like, well, that's it. That's the decision. It's like, we've been arguing about this for 3 years. We've been talking about this subject for a long time. That you had a chance to go up and vote for whoever you wanted. It's an open primary, like, whoever you wanted to vote for in our state. It's just totally lost on these people.
And maybe the fighting, like, going back and forth with other users is somewhat pointless. Maybe that is the case, but I still don't know what the alternative is for disproving, these wild tweets that people come out with. Maybe, like, if it's just a general user, like, who gives a shit, right? But, like, when it's, like, an official, they're literally just posting nonsense. And it's like
MTG is lying to us? Is that what you're implying?
That's a great example. Like, she posts all kinds of dumb shit. Or just, like, I think Bobert just posted something about
Truth tellers, you're calling them.
Yeah, but she just posted something about how she came from being welfare, like, from welfare and something else, but, now she's, like, she made it, like, she's living the American dream, and she did it all by herself. Like, that's, like, it's that kind of shit. And it's like, how could we just let that go? Sure, like, don't argue with the other people, but, like
the thing I always...
What's the alternative? Like, it's just straight up misinformation, like, all the time then. If nobody challenges it, it's just, like, straight misinformation from that side.
Two things, like, I think about. One is, like, okay, even if you do manage to convince people or, like, show them the misinformation, right? And then they start to warm up. Like, what effectively, practically, political impact does that have, right? Because I think
I'm not sure.
I think the hope is, and it's easy mentality to fall into, but it's one encouraged by our environment, but I don't think it does really what? Okay, so someone's gonna, at best, at most, maybe consider changing the way they vote.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I do think it's a very small percentage, to your point. It's just that I feel that letting it go unchecked has an even bigger effect.
It does, but is it psychic damage to, and I understand this, but, like, psychic damage to you to look at it and be like, you can't just fucking say, I'm going to beat the shit out of you.
Can't just
like, because I agree. Like, you know
what
me.
I'm saying, though.
No,
right?
I know, but you know me. Like, I will pick a fight with anybody for any reason. But, like, I can't say that I can't really say that I'm doing anything. Like, if I'm honest with myself, like, I'm probably just wasting my own time.
No, I agree. It's just that, like, we have elected officials that have insane reach just posting nonsense.
Not all of them have as far a reach as you.
Well, you know what I mean.
Crazy.
They have enough reach. Either way, they have a more reach than, like, your average person.
Yeah.
And they can spit nonsense. And if they don't care if it's right or wrong.
But the people who listen,
what do you do about that?
The people who are gonna listen to them and be curious about what they're gonna say, chances are were already wanting to listen to them. And the thing is that, you know, when I think about this with Trump, but with Bernie too, it's like they're speaking to something deeper that's enticing them. Not just like the misinfo and everything. Like I think a lot of people knew, like a lot of the evangelical types pretty much knew in their heart that like, yeah, all, you know, I can talk about all the like, you know, proper family and like there's, you know, patriarchal norms and everything, but Trump is like a vulgar, fucking disgusting pig, right? And I think they kind of knew that, but they're like, well, I don't care, because even if they can't say this, they're like, I have deeper commitments and deeper priorities, because I think at the end of what motivated a lot of people was they're like, yeah, Trump is being mean and vicious to all these like fucking snarky liberals who are yelling at me and condescending at me all the time.
The bad.
But what about the younger generations that are maybe just getting into this kind of stuff, and they're not necessarily like already have their views set, but maybe one of their family members is retweeting this shit, or maybe one of their other friends or their classmates on Facebook is retweeting this stuff, and they're not seeing anything because now they're getting from the algorithms, they're getting pushed into an echo chamber of sorts.
Well, yeah, the
majority of
algorithms.
people.
Then what do you do?
The majority of people are.
Do you know
gonna
what I'm
vote
saying?
the way
Like,
their
when we're
parents
talking
vote
about
the rest of their life.
like older people and stuff like that, yeah, you're probably right. But like, and to be fair, the younger generations, they're getting more and more politically active, younger and younger, which I think is, you know, fantastic. But
there is there's definitely. Like
I'm not saying there's an answer, by the way.
It's a problem, and it's also part of the bigger problem. Like, it's getting harder and harder to even get everyone to agree on what disinformation is. Like, there's certain things, yes, that like are pretty clear, right?
Yeah.
But like one big example, I think that is like, it drives me fucking nuts, is like mainstream media doing reporting during basically buildups and during wars, right? Because a lot of it is presented and repeatedly insisted upon as
war coverage sponsored by Mountain Dew and Doritos, like a Call of Duty launch.
Yeah, like it's, and then that's because then you get the thing that actually is what makes it hard to communicate with people, because especially remembering like it is the 20th anniversary of the Iraq War, right? Like the stuff about all the WMD, right? How that was put forward as like truthful and honest, and a lot of people like their sense of like, well, this is good info, and like because it's coming from trusted sources,
the government.
But then because it was such an apparent lie, enough people were like, well, okay, why am I gonna fucking listen to you about anything in the first place, right? Like, you can correct me about all this misinfo, right? But you're this like one specific thing that like everyone was talking about and was like so clearly bullshit, right? But I still got people who were like, and then by people I mean like journalists and academics who were pushing the WMD thing, for example, berating me about misinfo. Like, okay, well, it destroys the ability to have a generally agreed upon media environment in the first place. That's the thing. There's no way to like recover that. I think
we're experiencing this exact thing right now with the TikTok coverage. It's not as extreme, obviously, because it's not about a war, even though fuck it might be like leading up to that.
Yeah.
But the coverage,
so funny if World War III was over.
Yeah,
my precious app.
I just read a very long Wall Street Journal article about the two acts that are, you know, basically being put forward to ban TikTok, the Data Act and the Restrict Act. These acronyms are freaking awesome. And the nonsense that's in these things, it's like, oh my God. And they're just reporting on it like, no, you're not going to go to jail for 20 years if you use a VPN to access TikTok after it's banned in the United States. No, you're not going to go to jail, or you're not going to get fined $250,000 if you post something to TikTok after the ban or what have you. Yeah. And
not yet.
And it's like, yeah, but if you read the letter of the law, this Restrict Act specifically that the Biden administration supports, and
exactly
it looks like it has bipartisan support.
It's on the fucking paper.
It's like there's basically four guidelines in it, and the fourth guideline is so vaguely written that it's basically like if a foreign entity can have access to
think about posting one of those dancing cat videos.
No, literally,
it's fucking website.
It's worded coercive or criminal activities by a foreign adversary designed to undermine democratic processes and institutions, or steer policy and regulatory decisions in favor of a foreign adversary's objectives.
Have you ever heard of the CIA?
steer policy and regulatory decisions in favor of foreign adversaries' objectives. What if their objectives is like everybody gets $250,000? Like, what do you like?
We cannot have that.
This happens all the time. This is
meaning like it's so it's so arbitrary. Like, what do you mean? Like, what if their objectives coincide with our objectives? Can you still call that as a violation
they're
of the law?
adversarial because we say they are.
Yeah, it's so vague. And then the fact
Cuba's
that
on the list.
They're going to put a commission
Yeah,
together.
fucking Cuba is really gonna.
That's going to vote in secrecy on whether that specific, the fourth, element is coercive or criminal. It's like, wait, so we won't even be part of this decision, and you're just going to come out with, so it's exactly back to that.
You're
point
basically
of,
a terrorist. You're basically a terrorist if you use a VPN.
Well, this is
I think I was
like the
looking at that.
disinformation point.
And they were
Yeah.
talking about, like, I think it was that TikTok actually that you sent that had all that information in it, which is interesting because they were talking about like any piece of tech that is made by one of these, like an adversarial country as well, like the U.S. government will have like full access to, and to basically just spy on you. Now, whether that's accurate or not, I don't know.
Okay, like a quarter of cloud tech was like built in Israel. Can we put them on the list?
Which, by the way, one of the biggest influencers of like fucking this is all.
I mean, lobbyist firms, they're donating tons of money. Yeah.
I knew Palestinian student like activist types in college that got doxxed by like Apex psychos, who were funded, downstream basically by like APAC and other like Israel funded lobbies.
Oh, I don't have my net and my Yoohoo, so I could do that. Funded by net and Yoohoo.
Oh, that's
Are
It's
you
the
familiar
Kanye
with
joke.
Kanye
Sorry.
shit?
net.
Wow.
And wait, the
He
Kanye
did prop comedy. He went on Alex Jones.
When he
This is
went
a
on
lesser known
Infowars.
bit. This is a
Wait, I
lesser
don't
known
know
bit.
this.
But did you hear anything about the Kanye going on Infowars stuff?
I heard when he said he's like, I love Nazis. I remember seeing that.
So
that
that was
one
like a
ridiculous.
3-hour show he was on.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of golden bits that kind of got buried. One of them is he did prop comedy where he brought like a net.
Wait.
He brought like a net, and he was like net and Yahoo. I
Yoo-hoo, the drink,
and then
yeah.
Alex Jones was like, "Oh, you like him?" And Kanye was like, "Oh, I heard about him for the first time this morning."
But he brought a net and a Yoohoo.
But he brought props.
So sorry, I totally derailed you.
That's a gem. That's probably my
apologize,
favorite
Nate.
part of that whole.
His career should still be alive. I think he
No,
can't.
he's coming back. He's
So-
coming back.
He posted
watched
something
Jonah
on
Hill.
Instagram. Yeah, he posted something on Instagram. Was it like The Hangover or what was it? What did
It
he
was
post?
21
Jump Street. 21 Jump Street. And he was like, I like Jewish people again.
Yeah.
because he talked to Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill.
Because I
just
because I
saw
watched
him.
this movie.
His performance was so moving. Jonah Hill's.
in 21 Jump Street.
Awesome.
And 21 Jump Street.
Really awesome.
That's like watching Seinfeld and saying that you love Jews now.
I mentioned actually that would have the opposite effect. So I don't want to forget about it because you mentioned primaries earlier, and I thought it would be a good time to tell an embarrassing story about myself. First election I could vote in was 2016. For a little bit of context, I was like raised in a private Christian high school, public school before then. Some stuff happened. I ended up in a Baptist school. I could vote for the first time, but I had started transitioning into my like lib phase, like my pod save lib phase, back when Pod Save America was still called Keeping It 1600. And so I would like you to guess who I voted for in the primaries.
2016.
It's one of my greatest regrets, and I don't think you'll guess. In 2016,
I mean, Clinton, right?
I don't even know who.
it's a fantastic guess.
I don't even know who's running in 2016.
It was a Democrat, I'm assuming.
No, I think he voted like Libertarian or Green Party.
It wasn't Bernie. I'm assuming that.
No, remember,
Not
I was a lib. I was like a lib.
It had to have been Clinton, because who else was running in the primaries?
There was a few. There was quite a few.
In 2016?
There was one other Democratic person running.
Did you vote for Elizabeth Warren?
No, I don't think she was running in 2016.
Martin
He was like-
O'Malley?
So I voted in the 2016 Republican primaries
What?
for John Kasich.
I was just gonna say John Kasich.
Okay, all right.
Because I had it in my head.
We're in the call.
The big brain play was to attempt to block Donald Trump
Yeah, there was
voting.
a lot of people that did that. I know a lot of people that did stuff like that.
Oh, I remember getting in an argument.
Stupid.
Getting in an argument around this time with a bunch of friends at, I don't know, a New Year's party or whatever. And they're like, Hillary Clinton is funding Trump. The Clintons were behind Trump running.
Yeah.
Because he would be the weakest candidate and they would guarantee that, to win.
Yeah, really, really.
You know, 'cause these are like Bernie folks. These are like people who are like, Bernie. And it's like the whole thing was all a plant, just to get it to win. And I was like, I don't know, guys. I don't know.
I think they did do that, though, because they did that in the fucking last midterms. They,
I don't think so, though. Here's the thing that changed my mind about that viewpoint, and this happened way before that.
Nick's spitting facts there, because they literally did. The Democratic Party did fund Trump candidates. But go ahead.
Trump candidates?
2022.
Trump endorsed midterm candidates.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. But in 2016, the thing that changed my mind about that narrative was I grew up in a union family. Like my dad is a union, my grandmother's.
He was in the union. He was 12 years old.
Everybody was. I was in a union.
Child labor.
United Auto Workers all the way.
But it was union.
Anyway, there was a coverage of a union session where they interviewed a bunch of, like, kind of the man on the street kind of interviews of a bunch of people exiting the session, a bunch of union members, and they were asking them who they're going to vote for, and every single one of them said Bernie or Trump. And the reason, and this is during the primaries, the reason was they're the only two candidates talking about trade right now.
Yep.
And it's like, well, there you go. That's why I was like, there's no way. That's it. That's it. Like, that's who's going to win. Because I don't know. There's just something, growing up as a kid, I was like, the union vote always seemed to kind of coincide. It always was the vibrations of the street, like, okay, who are the working class people actually looking, to lead them or whatever.
It's definitely Donald Trump. It's definitely Donald Trump.
I mean, I think they're jackasses.
That man has worked harder than anyone ever, and he's, hardworking.
Don't get me wrong. I think it's a jackass decision, and I think you're voting against your own interests in a lot of ways. But to compare those two, but I mean, Hillary was just so hated amongst that group.
Not voting for Bernie Sanders in the 2016 primaries is the greatest regret of my life.
Well, I mean, it was your vote that
it wouldn't have changed anything. I know it wouldn't have changed anything, but I'm going to tie that back in. But it's the same thing with, like, it's in the same way that you can't, like, let a insane Republican say something unchecked on Facebook. I look at that and I'm like, I should have fucking. I can't believe I fucking did.
So do you feel like you're at confessional right now?
I do.
Like,
you talked about one of your regrets, and like I think it was my first year of voting. I actually didn't vote for a couple of years when I had the opportunity, just because
your
I
civic goddamn duty.
I just didn't. At the time, I just didn't feel like it really mattered. Like,
Court-martial this man.
Didn't make a difference. But anyway, it wasn't like a presidential thing or anything. But I voted for, what's that guy? The nerd guy for Michigan.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah,
the nerd. The
computer. Wait.
One tough nerd. No, the one that's
Snyder, right?
Oh,
yeah, Rick Snyder.
Yeah.
I voted for Snyder.
Yeah, he backed like a gateway computers or whatever, right? That was his thing. He was like on the board or whatever.
He had this plan, and I read the plan, and I was like, this sounds good, and like I didn't really care about Republican or Democrats at that time. I just kind of wanted the right person to do the right job.
He was the right person to do the right job as far as poisoning Flint and
I totally regret that decision.
And he did pass the right to work. Yeah,
it was my tipping. I was the tipping point for that one. It was a split, and it was just one vote. Made. I
remember it was like that show, The Split, the movie where the guy. He's like a split voter, and the president has.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that as a kid too. Like all the presidents,
so fucking cool. They like fly him around on their jets and stuff. They're like, "We need you. We really need you." He was the hanging Chad. But I just want to let you know, Carl, that you voted for the blueprint for Andrew Yang.
Hey, whatever, man.
Oh, he's a venture capitalist.
You voted for Kasich, so I don't know.
I was really hyped about Coney 2012 when I was a kid.
You voted for Coney 2012?
No, I was high. I remember watching it, and I'm like, this is the most important thing ever. We need to donate like $100.
What happened to that guy is so fucking cool.
The
guy behind it, like getting naked in the street and like running around because he broke under all of the wild like popularity of the thing.
I mean,
that he made.
Carl's election in 2010, that's Verge Bernero was running against Rick Snyder, who was kind of weak. Brenda Lawrence was the running mate, Verge Bernero, which
I love that you like went back to the receipts to see. Like my vote really wasn't that bad of a choice, I guess. Is that what you're saying?
No, it was a bad choice, but I mean, it's still like, these are pretty weak candidates in general.
That was like Obama's first year, too, or first First president.
2010 is the.
He was elected 2 years before that.
2010, Democrats.
Right, I voted.
wins,
So I
right?
voted for Obama both times.
Okay, so you
2010
went,
was when
you went
Democrats got
Democrat.
absolutely
Yeah, 2010 is when they got shellacked. Yeah,
the shellacking.
the shellacking.
Yeah.
Obama. Yep.
Yeah, I wasn't really paying attention to like the parties at that time for Michigan at least.
Yeah.
I just started watching The Daily Show around that time. I felt so cool. I was like 11 watching it. I'm like the smartest fucking guy in this school.
Hey, what was like what were the big issues? Was there like a solar company? There was some big.
Oh, do you remember the solar road panels thing?
Yes,
like
yes.
Yeah, George. I remember George Takei really pushed this because I followed his Facebook page. He was like, "Oh my god, this is gonna change.
This is everything. This is amazing.
It's such a simpler time."
Should we wrap?
Right.
I want to say thank you, Nick, because we've not had a chance to have a politics heavy episode in a long time.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, we touch on it a lot, but yeah, this is a good one.
I'd love to come back again and keep rambling.
Cool. Do you have anything you want to plug?
I need to get some more mileage out of that microphone.
According to Drew, guests get one free plug. So
you, get
you could take more than one.
You can take more than one.
Well,
but,
but we'll cut it.
Drew does not edit the episodes.
Let me
take as many as you want.
Wait, I was prepared for this.
You do have a whiteboard.
I do have.
Yeah, I was wondering if he's gonna draw because he had the marker in his hand the whole time.
I could draw just about anything. I mean,
all you need is the whiteboard and the marker, and it commands attention because at any moment you could just start going nuts with that shit.
For the listeners, he's got a blue marker, just if that means anything.
It's a blue marker.
DSA.
/donate/membership. That's if you want to join.
Oh, it's a money plug.
Oh, this is a good one.
He wants your fucking money.
You can do that.
I can't read it that far, so you're gonna have to say it again.
Oh shit. Okay. So
is that DSAV go?
DSAUSA.org.
Oh, USA.
/donate/membership. So that's
do it.
Can you get any t-shirts?
You
can you get a t-shirt
cowards.
from there?
Yeah, you can get t-shirts. That's if you want to like join, and then you go to
just join. Meeting. Just tell them that you can get t-shirts. Don't talk about joining. Just say you can get a t-shirt here.
T-shirts.
All
you
right.
can meet girls there.
The landing. What we call this Nick is top of funnel.
You don't want to meet.
It's a top of funnel situation.
You don't want to meet people at the DSO, man. That's
DSO. That's the Detroit Symphony Orchestra.
I know. Yeah, DSA. Sorry, man.
Oh shit!
Sonic the Hedgehog?
Is it officially sponsored by Sonic?
Sonic is
making
the
an
official
appearance.
sponsor. Yep.
Okay, so for the listeners, Nick is drawing Sonic, but it looks like he's making the torso very large, and it's getting larger. He's actually connected a pump to the torso, and he's actually begun to. It looks like he's.
Why are you
balloon.
gaslighting our listener?
He's inflating Sonic. That's very interesting. I don't know what's going on here.
Did you fucking cut my video feed by now?
Google Sonic inflation for more information.
This is actually a really good drawing of Sonic.
Yeah, it was really good.
Google Sonic inflation 37.
Okay, so that he has connecting a bicycle.
32?
Yep.
Hey, so just let's go back really quick. So DSA USA
DSAUSA.org
/donate/membership.
Yep, that's right.
That is a broken link. It's a broken link.
God damn it, Nick! You're gaslighting us.
She needs more air, Nick.
All that fucking stuff. It's a broken fucking link. Okay.
DSA needs to get their shit together.
I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure that it's like that we're going to the right
I kind of wanted
spot.
to draw nipples, but I didn't feel like I could do that.
No, it's fine. You can draw nipples.
Are you trying to get donations or like are you trying to get memberships?
Trying to get membership. That's where you
Membership
sign
is just
up
a recurring donation.
No, that is broken. That doesn't work.
There is act.dsa.org.
Yeah, that's the donate though.
Yeah.
DSA join.
We're just doing Nick's jobs for him.
There used to be a short link. I mean, while we're trying to figure this out, please enjoy the picture.
Yeah, that's free.
That's free.
Oh, wait, there's a join us button.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just go there.
It's act.dsa.usa.org.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Donate. Everything is correct.
Everything is the same, but there's an act.
Yeah, it's on a subdomain. There we go.
It's right now. Everything.
There you go.
Nothing wrong with it.
It's off the screen, but it's right.
Yeah.
Well, it's off the screen.
No, it's good.
So
I will zoom in on that. And that's perfect. Yep.
Yeah.
So act.dsausa.org /donate/membership.
I was really
DSA,
good at
call
driving,
us. We will give you a free shortened URL for this. Just give us a call.
And yeah, we'll do web work for you guys for free. Also,
and free Sonic card.
if you need it, and we'll do free Sonic drawing. Well, that's not Sonic. That's what's a good off-brand name for something that just happens to look a lot like Sonic but bears no legal similarities. Sunk. I like that. So that's first of all, that's one of the best ads I've ever seen in my entire goddamn life. We fucking did it.
That should be a T-shirt.
That should be a T-shirt. Unfortunately, we get sued into the fucking center.
As far as us, weedocrime.com/voicemail. Leave us a voicemail so we can talk about what was it? Snuck? Sonic? Sonic?
If you have any other Sonic characters you'd like to see inflated,
my God.
call in, and we'll
call
bring
into the voicemail, and
we'll bring Nick back.
We'll bring Nick back and
to do more art.
And we have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/@weedocrime.
I think this could be the channel thumbnail.
That will make it somehow into something. That might even be the episode name. Something.
I'll you'll just like have to put it as one of the
fighting
back.
Sonic inflation. How far does your dollar go?
Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Nick.
No problem, guys.
So we have to protect our genius. We're not selling anybody's data.